I think it's a great day to have a walk outside, which is possible in our little campus. So we will, I think.
So good morning, friends from St. Mary's and Vivek Atray. I think we have another 2 minutes to go, but we are live on YouTube and Zoom now. We'll wait for a couple of minutes, just have a chit chat with Vivek before he gets into his discourse. Quickly, as an introduction, my name is Atul Khosla. I am the founder and pro-vice chancellor of Shulini University. But more about me as we get into the webinar. But Vivek, yeah, you were talking about you were speak. Yes, that's right, Vivek.
Sorry, that was meant only for you.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Absolutely. So tell us a bit about how you're spending your days nowadays. What's are you writing? Are you spending time speaking? Are you doing a lot of meditation?
Yeah, I'm doing all three of them actually. I'm also entering a couple of short story competitions, which are international ones, which are England based. So I'm trying to write a micro fictional story of 250 words only, which is the toughest, because in one page you have to start and finish the story. And I'm trying to get some depth. So writing as well as speaking in sessions with you, with Shulini, and there is an international schools seminar which I told you about, which I'll be speaking on in a week from now. And that they already have the speakers lineup filled up, but we'll be doing more with them later. So I think that's a great network too. Maybe principals of these schools are also part of that. I'm not aware.
Fantastic. I think that's really keeping you busy again for our audience today. We'll wait for another minute or so before we go live. Till then, just getting to know Vivek a bit. So Vivek, you do a lot of meditation, I hear.
Yes.
When did you start this? I understand you're part of the Yogananda YSS. So when did you start your meditation journey?
Yeah, I started in 2008, I think. Yeah, 2008. So 12 years ago. And I was, Nina, my wife, was first off the block, and she started in 2003. So she read the autobiography of a yogi, which is a great book, as you know, a bestseller all over the world and a spiritual classic. So when she read that, we read the lessons. She first, then I. The lessons of meditation give a detailed account of how you should meditate morning and evening. So we do that every day. So even today, I've meditated for an hour before coming here. So I'm all charged up.
No wonder you're glowing. So,
Thank you.
all of us meditate in some form or the other. Some go to church, some would meditate in their homes, some would go to temples. But meditation is a great thing. I think it's time to start, Vivek. So good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to a series of webinars. As a passion to reach out to schools, we've started the series of webinars where we are reaching out to schools and speaking to teachers and principals, especially on topics that are of real interest as of now. Very quickly, my name is Atul Khosla. I am the founder and pro-vice chancellor at Shulini University. As a quick background, I'm a BTech from IIT Kanpur, did my MBA from Janarlal Bajaj in Bombay, and then spent around 20 years in different parts of the world consulting. The teaching bug then hit me, and 2013 onwards, I've been teaching full-time with Shulini. You're all aware of Shulini. We are next door to you from Kusali. Please do visit us whenever you get the time. So we'll start now. I'm hearing that a lot of them are not able to log in. Shikha, you might want to ask them to go onto YouTube if they're not able to log in. Sometimes internet doesn't work very well. So I think that could be another way to log in is to just go on to YouTube Live. So if you've got colleagues who are not able to log in, please tell them to go onto YouTube Live. We are live on YouTube as we speak. So the whole objective behind this series is to speak to you about topics that are of interest to you. These are difficult times, lots of stress with the teachers, lots of stress at home. There's a lot of insecurity. I think lots of our students are feeling a lot of stress. There's a lot of uncertainty around examinations. There's lots of uncertainty about what's going to happen to their careers, especially students in Standard 12. So lots of schools have actually asked us to speak about stress management. How do you find happiness in times of stress like these? And who could be better than that to speak on this topic than Vivek Atray? And Vivek, as a quick introduction, is an IS officer, ex-IS officer. He spent more than 20 years, or probably 30 years in the services. Uh, One of his biggest projects has been the IT Park of Chandigarh, which he led and built into a beautiful, beautiful space. He's now a motivational speaker, a TEDx speaker. He writes a lot. He's an author of multiple books. But for us, most importantly, he's a dear friend and also a professor at Shulini University out here, comes here very often, speaks to our students. So I think we'll start with this. Some people are having a little bit of trouble getting in, Vivek. So possibly, why don't we just, before they sort of come in, let's hear a little bit about yourself, your background, and then I'd love to hear more about the topic, which is how do you manage stress in these times of difficulty? Over to you, Vivek.
Sure, Atul. Thank you very much for the introduction. It's been really lovely to be part of these seminars, and I welcome the school. It's very nice to see all of you. I'm sure more of you will join a little later through YouTube or Zoom. And thank you for inviting me to speak again, Atul. It's great to be part of the Shulini family, and I'm always looking forward to my next trip there. I saw a lovely picture of Shulini with lights and the rain yesterday on Instagram, and the campus looks absolutely beautiful. So I would really hope that this lockdown is over soon and we can all go back to doing what we love to do, which is to travel. And so in my case, I speak all over India. I go all over India to speak, but Shulini is my favorite stop, and I go there regularly to speak. And the students, the atmosphere is absolutely phenomenal. I also would like to tell you, as Atul said, about myself. So I started out as a schoolboy in London and Delhi and Chandigarh. And in Chandigarh, while I was studying, I used to play under 19 cricket. I was a cricketer, and then I went on to engineering. So I did electronics engineering from NIT Kurukshetra. And after doing engineering, then I got into the Haryana civil service. And after that, I was promoted to the IAS. So a total of 25 years in the service. And 2.5 years ago, I left the service to become a motivational speaker and an advisor, as I'm an advisor and visiting professor with Shulini University also. So I speak to people on topics like stress and positivity and emotional intelligence and leadership and public speaking skills and various other topics, which tomorrow we're going to have a session on values and how they can be inculcated among children. So I speak a lot to the youth, but also to the senior people and teachers and principals. Recently, I had a seminar with the Haryana principals of colleges, and I am going to be speaking to an international schools network shortly. So let me come to the topic. It is stress management, and who knows more about stress than human beings of 2020? In 2020, there is more stress than ever before. Firstly, I used to say before the crisis came that the greatest enemy that we have is the enemy in the pocket. This enemy creates a lot of stress, our smartphones, and we are always wedded to technology, always trying to be updated as to what is happening in the world, and always trying to reply to those emails and those WhatsApps. And we often find that we never really find a moment to pause and reflect and sit down and think for ourselves, because we are always on, we are always switched on. It's like a machine which is on for 24/7. Only when we sleep do we get some respite and rest. But really, modern human beings in this era are always on. And this crisis, which is facing the world now, has added to that stress a lot by suddenly shaking everybody up and making human beings realize that whatever they've been doing in the manner they've been doing, it has to be controlled and checked and streamlined. And I'm sure that human beings all over the world, leadership has taken note of what was going wrong. I'm sure this crisis will go away, and sooner than you think. It'll happen sooner than people think. So let's talk about how people react to stress and crisis like this. The first thing that people normally do is when a crisis comes, there is rumor mongering. That means rumors are shared, spread, and the fire is fanned further by people who spread negativity. So if we are among those who are sharing negative news, negative messages, or talking about negative things or things which might scare others, then firstly we need to check our own selves. So, are we discussing during the course of the day more worries, fears, and things which may go wrong, which could go from bad to worse? Or are we trying to discuss ways that the world can get out of a crisis and try and solve the problem? And are we encouraging others by saying that perhaps it will be over soon and gradually the world will get back to where it should be, and perhaps it will improve actually? So I was speaking to a TV channel and I was using two words that we need to combat such crisis. The first word is resilience. So if we are strong and resilient in the mind, that means we have willpower and we know that no crisis lasts forever. So we are resilient to any impact that the crisis has, then we are able to fight back. And in the mind, if we are strong, we know that this will be over in a few days, a few weeks, a few months, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. As long as it's not affecting me directly, I can pray for others who are suffering. I feel for them, but I need to remain cheerful and calm. The second one is rejuvenation. So I said that rejuvenation is something that is possible in such times when we have been forced to be at home, we are forced to be in lockdown, we are forced to take time out for ourselves now. Otherwise, we've been running from pillar to post throughout our lives. And now is the time when we can actually sit down and contemplate and reflect and introspect. Contemplate, reflect, and introspect. If we do that, then what happens is that we start improving our own tendencies to be negative or to be, let's say, not trying to improve our own selves. There is no end to learning. This is an opportunity when we are in lockdown where we actually start learning something new. Whatever age we are at, whatever stage of life we are at, we can always learn something new. It could be the guitar. You always wanted to play the guitar, but you never had time. Maybe you have a guitar lying somewhere at home and you go through the internet, you learn some classes, you take some classes and you learn. There are so many courses which are on. Even Harvard is conducting 67 free online courses. Shulini is also conducting leadership programs. Other universities are also doing it. Enroll for something that will help you in your career. And another thing that you can do is probably try out something which is linked to physical fitness, and maybe those exercises which you stopped doing 10 years ago, it's time to take them up again. There is no bar to human endeavor. And if you think you can, you can. So get back to fitness, try and do indoor exercises. And if you have some fresh air or a vent or a veranda or a little space outside, use that to get as much oxygen as possible. So if we do these things, and the key word here is again creativity. If we are creative during a crisis, then our mind doesn't wander to negativity. So to combat stress and tension and pressure, it is possible to do so by being creative. By being creative, I mean you pick up anything which you're good at or even not so good at, learn some French, you can have online classes, you can start some poetry writing, you could probably start a bit of still photography in the house or just outside wherever you can. There are so many ways to become different and creative compared to what you were before. So we've all been going through the motions otherwise. I mean, we've all been running around and trying to solve our day-to-day problems, but God has given us this opportunity to rest, relax, rejuvenate. So please use that. The next point I'd like to cover in this session on stress management is a story about a little a lady actually who's flying from one place to another when times are normal, the flights take place, and she's at the airport and she realizes that her flight has been delayed by an hour. And if the flight has been delayed, she's tense because she had to reach the other city to have a meeting, and she has to call up those people and tell them, I'm delayed by an hour. So she's feeling very bad about it. She's stressed out. She's fretting over the delay, and she buys a packet of cookies just to keep herself busy. And she goes and sits down with her purse on a piece of on a table and chair, and there she is at the airport, and there's a man sitting next to her. He picks up a biscuit and eats it, opens the packet, takes a biscuit and eats it. And this lady is appalled. She's really aghast. She's very disturbed by this act, that what is this man doing? He's taking my biscuits. So she thinks that he's made a mistake. She picks up the next one and has a biscuit, just to prove that it is her packet. But this man, he takes the next one and has it. So this lady, who is already stressed out, is now fuming. She's boiling from inside, but she doesn't say anything to him. She picks up another one. He picks up another one. She picks up another biscuit. He picks up another biscuit. So it goes on like that, and her anger, her temper, her blood pressure, everything goes higher and higher and higher. And the man is calm and smiling. There's nothing against the ladies. It could have been a gentleman in her place, and the lady could have been smiling and calm and having her biscuits, his biscuits. So, but what happens? At the last biscuit, this man breaks it into half, eats half himself, and gives the half to her. She's really never seen a man like him, but she has no time now because the flight is finally announced, and she is to go and check in. I mean, she is to go for boarding, and she takes out her boarding pass from the purse as she's walking, and she sees that her packet of biscuits is in the purse. She had been eating his biscuits, and he had been kind enough to give her half the biscuits. So when we are stressed, when we are worried, when we are tense, then our judgment is clouded. Our presence of mind is not there. Our focus on the moment is not there. So it could be a stress from home. It could be a stress from work. It could be a stress from day before yesterday, and it is impeding our thinking process right now. So I have learned in my career and my experience that it is very important to have clarity of mind and to keep calm. So I was SDM of Kalka, and you all know Kalka is not far from Solan. And I was SDM in my second posting ever of Kalka. And I remember there was a man, an oldish man, who used to come to my office. And I was just a new SDM and very young. I was 25. And he would come and he would say, you know, this work of mine has not been done for 10 years. I've met many SDMs. I don't have much faith in the government, but here's my application. I request you to look into it, this, that. So he was a little uneasy and not happy about his life because of this problem which he had in his village, which was long pending, something to do with his land holdment. And I took interest in what his work was. And I told the officers to sit down. It took them a couple of hours to sort out his paperwork and his revenue record, and they were able to do it. Nobody had had the time before that. And this man, who used to be irritated, tense, stressed out, suddenly I see this glow on his face when his job is done. So I realized that by helping others, we not only help them to de-stress, we also relieve our own stress. So one word I'd really like to talk to you about to relieve your own stress is empathy for others. When you are going through stress and tension yourself, if instead of worrying about your own tensions and stresses, you start helping out with other people, then actually your own mindset improves and you feel buoyant, you feel better about yourself than you were before. So how do you do that? You reach out to someone through donations, you reach out to someone through, in this crisis, you're making some food, somebody's picking it up from your doorstep and giving it to the poor. After the crisis is over, you are part of a tree plantation campaign. You are teaching children who live nearby, who are poor, who can't study, afford to go to schools. You are doing something for others. Then your own empathy and stress actually reduce. And your center of focus from being your own self-centered self becomes others. And when you help others, it is said that the universe conspires to help you. So by being empathetic, by putting yourself in the shoes of others, you are actually growing as a person. You may be 30, 40, 50 years old, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. There is always time for us to start doing more for others. Another thing which I'd like to say in this combating stress is my favorite topic, and it's very, very important. It is, what is our mind telling us? Our mind is always telling us, often telling us about fears and worries, that this may go wrong, that may go wrong. Whenever we had to take the plunge in life, we had to take a strong decision, we had to take the right decision which was in our favor, and we were worried. We could not say what we had to say, or we could not come forward to volunteer when we had to volunteer, or we did not raise our hands when we had to. There was something in our mind which was pulling us back. Our inhibitions, our own fears and worries, they hold us back. So, who is your own enemy? Your mind is your own enemy, and your mind is your greatest friend as well. So, if you are your greatest friend, then you will tell yourself more positive and encouraging things than fears and worries. Paramahansa Yogananda, author of the autobiography of a yogi, and there is a great library named after Yogananda ji at the Shulini University campus. If you haven't visited that library and the campus, please do so soon. It is a beautiful, beautiful library. So he said, worry is a brake. He said, you're pressing the accelerator of your life, and by worrying over worrying, you are pressing the brake as well. So this is his book. I have it here. And this is the autobiography of a yogi, which is not a religious book, it's a spiritual book. And it is a book to savor, to really read carefully, and how you can really become a better person, a stronger person with more meaning to life than what you are before. Anybody, wherever you are in your journey, there is always scope for improvement. So worry is not your friend. Overthinking is an ailment, it's an illness, it's a disease. It is something which is troubling us. So where is the stress coming from? It's coming from the mind. It's coming through overthinking. This may go wrong, that may go wrong. Why hasn't my child arrived yet from school? 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late. You know that the child will arrive. Whenever things are normal, school starts, we start worrying. So there are things which are beyond our control, and we can try not to worry about them. And we are there to take charge of the situation if required. We can remedy things. But instead of remedying them once they occur, they hardly ever occur. But we are always worried, what if this happens? What if that happens? So we are human, of course, we will worry at times, but we reduce that. So in this period of the crisis of lockdown, we will try to introspect and see where my worries and fears come from. Where does my irritability come from? Where does my anger quotient come from? So if I analyze myself in this period, or even regularly every Sunday, every night perhaps, then I'm able to see where my improvement points are. And tomorrow is another day. So if you try and tell yourself that tomorrow I will try not to react at this particular thing, I will try not to get irritated by this particular thing, which doesn't really matter. Supposing there is somebody who says annoying things, there is a colleague or there is somebody in your house who's going on annoying you or irritating you, you can refuse to be irritated. Who is losing out when you are irritated or angry? It is you. It is your peace of mind which is disturbed. And by being ruffled and disturbed like that, you are impeding your own health, your mental health, your physical health. So by refusing to respond like that, by refusing to be irritated, by refusing to lose your temper, you're actually growing as a person. You're becoming more mature, you're becoming more balanced and calm and healthy. Because we know when we are angry or worried or stressed out, the cells in our body are also stressed out. And physical health also takes a beating. You know that all major ailments of this world, except for this virus, are related to stress. And there is stress which is causing our inner turmoil. So we need to reduce this worry, stress, and fear. And one of the ways to do it is meditation. Meditation is a way to combat stress, fear, and worry. Any practice that you follow, I follow Yoganandaji's teaching. There are lessons of meditations which are available on the website. yssofindia.org. yssofindia.org. This website has great technique lessons. And what you can do is a simple meditation. Even I can tell you, there's nothing religious. It is just a spiritual method of going deep within. So we did the meditation in another session. We'll do one now. Just for 45 seconds, what we'll do is to sit quietly and sit straight and focus between the eyebrows, at the point between the eyebrows. Once we close our eyes, just keep your focus there and also focus simultaneously on your breath. Your breath is coming in and your breath is going out. We don't control our breath. Let it be normal, natural breathing. But we just sit straight and we are comfortable and straight spine, and our attention is between the eyebrows and on our breath at the same time. The eyes are just closed. So just for 45 seconds, let's do it starting from now. And in this period, I'm sure you will find greater calmness. Just try to sit calmly. If thoughts are coming, let them go. Tell them to go away for a while and tell them that I'm focusing on my breath. Just see or notice your breath coming in and out. I'll keep talking in the middle, but you carry on because it is a video. We should not be sitting silent for too long. It is also necessary for you to practice this longer once you have done it now. And in fact, we can stop now. But let me tell you the impact of what happens if you do this exercise for 10 minutes. You can open your eyes. For 10 minutes, if you do this, then what happens is that your breath becomes calmer. Now, what happens when we are restless? Our breath rate is faster. We are breathing fast. In fact, we are breathing in a shallow manner. So my yoga meditation learning have taught me that if in 2020 people are not breathing deeply enough to clear their lungs. So if we take deeper breaths or if we meditate like this, then our oxygen requirement becomes less. And when your oxygen requirement in the heart and lungs becomes less, then your mind actually charges up. Your mind becomes a little calmer, your breath becomes calmer. So meditation, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, or more if you can, of any type, starting from this, will increase your concentration. It will increase your calmness. And calmness is your best friend. A calm person is always respected. And as I often say to administrators and officers, I go to Missouri also and speak to government officers. I tell them that if you are respected for what you are, it is more important than being feared for your authority. So respect is greater than authority. If you are in a position of authority and you are scared, people are scared of you because you are so powerful, there's nothing great about that. Okay, you did very well to study hard and become that officer or whatever you become. But now you are not really doing credit to your situation by instilling only fear in others. If people work willingly with you because they love you, they respect you, they look up to you, and because you have goodwill, then you are actually motivating and inspiring them to work from the heart. But if a person is coercing others to work harder, or to do this, do that, do this, do that. Of course, a leader has to be firm. A leader has to be, have a lot of respect and even authority. But respect is greater than authority. And if you earn that respect, then people will respect you and you will carry that goodwill forever. So I often tell the story of a teacher who retired, and you are all teachers. And this teacher retired about 10 years ago, let's say. He's now, let's say, 75 years or 74 years old. And he's standing at some railway station and he's looking a little confused. He's an elderly gentleman, doesn't know where to board the train from. He's asking people, and a young man and his wife and children, they come to him and they touch his feet. The man touches his feet and says, "Sir, you taught me in school. Now I'm an executive with so and so company. This is my wife. She's also working here and there. And these are our children. And I always remember the lessons you taught us. I'm so happy to meet you here. How can I help you?" They help him board the train. He is so grateful. But he has earned that respect. He's earned that goodwill. Even though he retired 10 years ago, this young man and his wife, they came up to him specially. And they came because they love him, because that student of his has that respect for him. So this is the kind of earning of life that we should look for. And if we look for such earnings of life, then other earnings, they diminish. They reduce in their value. So we really need to remain cheerful, remain calm, remain creative, and then we become people who others respect. And even as I said, during the worst of situations, one human being will be the calmest and the coolest and the most positive. And one human being will be the most negative. If you look at all the human beings in the world, there will be one who will be extremely, extremely positive, even though there's a crisis, and one who will be extremely, extremely negative, the worst. So, where are we? Are we towards the positives or towards the negatives? If we are in the top half, we're doing okay. If we're in the top 10% of positivity, then we're doing great. Why can't we be more positive than we are, more cheerful, more calm, and talk about healthy, constructive stuff? And I'd also like to tell you that since you are teachers, your children also learn from you. And I often talk to teachers on emotional intelligence, and I tell them that they watch you. Whatever you tell your students is not that important. What you are is important. So they follow your example. They often want to be like you. And they see how ma'am or sir is conducting himself or herself in the class, and how you speak to others, how you speak to the peon, how you speak to people who are not so powerful. So there is where the learning for the children also comes. So by our example of being dignified, of being graceful, of being cheerful, we are able to inspire others and children especially to be the same. And then values. Values, I often have in my emotional intelligence session a question. The red light test at 6 a.m. So in Chandigarh, we have lots of red lights, and if you don't stop at the red light at 6 in the morning, nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's there at that time. But if you don't stop at the red light at 6 o'clock in the morning, it means there's something inside you which is telling you that it's okay to break the rules. So there is where, if we do that, then our children, as parents or as teachers, we are showing children that this is okay to do. And that is somewhere where we need to also inspire our children. And most of you must be parents. So as parents, I must tell you, do not compare your children with others. If you're comparing your children with others, then you're stressing them out. And they are already stressed out because of the competition pressure. So I have a lot of videos on YouTube, which you can watch. You search my name, Vivek Atray, and you'll find that I have a lot of videos where you can go and see what kinds of qualities I talk about for young people, especially what they can pick up and how they can be emotionally intelligent, balanced, calm individuals, which really is an asset. It's a quality, and therefore they can learn. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'll also like to talk about my book a little bit. This is my book, which has come out recently. It's called Finding Success Within. And Finding Success Within is my book, which contains 52 life skills for young people. And these 52 life skills contain those skills which I've been talking about: how you handle stress, pressure, how you come forward in life, and how you be successful. So this is something which also you can talk to your students about, finding success within. So as I said, all the mind is where the battle of life is being fought, and these examples and stories which I gave you are those for you to remember and take home with you. I see Atul Khosla is there, smiling very cheerfully. So I think we can go to the question and answer session.
Thank you, Vivek. What a fascinating talk. I hope we all live in times when we seek direction, and I hope some of you got something out of Vivek. I think he's always a fascinating speaker. As you were speaking, Vivek, a few questions came to my mind before I open it up to others. Please keep posting your questions on this, either on Zoom or YouTube. If I'm a teacher, typically if I'm especially if I'm a mother or a daughter-in-law or a daughter. So much stress right now on me. I have to multi-juggle. I have to take my lectures from home. I have to teach because schools are still on. Teaching is on. I have to take care of my children in the house. I have to cook. I have to take care of my parents or my in-laws. How do I juggle everything together? What do I do?
Absolutely, it's a very good question because this is the modern man or lady's life. It is multidimensional. There is no unidimensional life. Everybody has to do multitasking, and you and I, Atul, must admit that the ladies are known to be more multidimensional than the men, and they have a capacity to actually empathize with others a little more than the men do. But what you said is absolutely correct. There's a lot of pressure on somebody who's teaching and then looking after the family and children. There are so many things which often pile up at the same time. So the thing to do is to prioritize and to manage your time a little better, perhaps. Time management and prioritization will give you a little time for your own self. And just after waking up in the morning and just before sleeping at night, very little disturbance is there, then read something positive or do some exercises and meditation. Your day will be better. And even during the middle of the day, at times, if you can take out time to just pray or just meditate or just go for a little stroll for 10 minutes on your own. It's all very well to be chatting with others all the time, but if you can be calm within and just take out 5-10 minutes for yourself, you will de-stress and you will be able to handle things much better.
I think something related to this, Vivek, Kamal Sharma is asking us, what are the activities that we can do on a daily basis to make our minds liberated?
Yeah, that's a great question. On a daily basis, actually, firstly, we need to introspect as to what are our weaknesses. And we need to be very scathing and a little strict with ourselves and realize that these are my shortcomings. I do lose my temper, or I do tend to get late every day for my work. So when we start introspecting and working on these qualities, then we will try and improve week after week after week. And a determined effort is required. So I think these liberating ourselves is a question of basically getting over these little factors which make us restless and which make us respond negatively to things. The moment we become more creative and calm, I think we emerge.
And what about overcoming a mental block? That's another question that Arun Parashar is asking.
Yeah, I think this is a more difficult one because people have mental blocks which stay for life. For example, you are worried about what so and so thinks, and therefore you always wanted to be a singer, but you are inhibited because you don't know how good you are, and you don't even practice because you think your wife or your mother or your cousin or somebody at home will be laughing at you and discouraging you, and you're trying to emerge from that, but that mental block is not allowing you to do so. Or you have a mental block when you go on stage. You are a public speaker, and or you have to go in the mic, and you are always nervous and fretting. So these things, they will take time and practice. The thing to do is to practice before the mirror, to do whatever is blocking you in front of others. Do it in private first. Gain more confidence. Practice, and then your mental block will be overcome. Your inhibitions are the creation of your mind. So if you really open up your mind and its limitations, then you will emerge. You will succeed.
We have the guru with us, Vivek, but I have my 2 cents. I think God has given us a unique opportunity. We could, of course, see it as a challenge, but I see it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to do things that we always wanted to do, but never got the time. We're at home, we might be busy, but we still have more time than what we had when we were going to school or going to office. So my 2 cents would be, go out, learn what you always want to do, practice what you always want to do. For example, if you like speaking, if you like singing, or if you like acting, you can do it over the web. You can do it over the camera. And I would also say that encourage your students to go beyond the textbook. Encourage your students to get into hobbies that they might have sort of left over the years. From my experience, I can say that every leading personality of this world, whether it's a top CEO or it's the Prime Minister of India, they at least have 1 or 2 things which are special about them. And those special things are not related to their work. They're related to the hobbies. For example, let's look at Vivek. He's a great writer. Anyway, that was from me. We have a question from Gaurav Sharma for you, Vivek. He's asking you, it's a personal question. He's asking you, whom do you admire the most in the world and why? And how has that changed your vision towards your life and others around you?
It's a great question. In the current times, actually, I admire Barack Obama a lot. I've seen Barack Obama speaking. I've seen his calmness in a crisis, and the way he was as a leader. I don't think the world has seen in recent times a calmer and a family man as a leader than him. Secondly, of course, I've been talking about Yogananda ji. I really admire his teachings, his learnings, whatever I could. And thirdly, I admire Sachin Tendulkar a lot because I'm a cricket fan and I can never get over his last retirement speech, which always inspires me even today. And these people who inspire us are important to be carried with us throughout our lives, because people stop being inspired after a certain age. But it is always good to look up to someone throughout your life.
Well, we admire and get inspired by you, Vivek. So thank you
You.
for being around. It's always so lovely to hear you out. Nitin, who's a research scholar, is asking, how do you manage the pressure of stress as a research scholar? I think you've answered that question, but I think in the context of a research scholar who, probably has to multi-juggle so many different things, any particular tip for Nitin?
I think it's all the more important for him to meditate, because when you are a research scholar, you need clarity of mind. Your mind cannot afford to be distracted and distressed by other things. So when you are in your research work, you really need to be focused. And focus and concentration will come from meditation, morning, evening. Try and control your thoughts, subside them, let them quieten down. And also, in my experience, studying and working means that you take a break after every half an hour or 45 minutes. That refreshes you. You go for a little stroll. People who sit too much in front of the computer, their output reduces. So go and take a break, come back.
I'll take the last question and then I have a couple of thoughts and I'll request Vivek to summarize after that. So Kajal is asking, how does stress affect us?
Yes, Atul, actually, stress affects us in two ways, in my view. Firstly, it affects our body and then our mind. The body part, I mentioned that our cells of the body are actually distressed when we are stressed out. You study medical research, they will tell you that in the long run, your life will actually reduce if you are a worrier, if you are too much into worrying. And your natural tendencies or physical tendencies will also get worse. But if you are positive, gung ho, your health improves. So, but the mental part is more important, and stress affects our mind in terms of our not being able to take the right decision, not being able to retain calmness. And when we say something because of stress, then we regret it later. We lose our temper because of stress. It's a vicious cycle. So we really need to sit down when we are calm and cool and analyze our stresses and the reasons, reduce something which is causing stress, even if it is a part of your life which seems difficult to take out. Just get that out of your system. And if you're arguing with someone every day and that is adding to your stress, then realize that it is your enemy. So please work on yourself.
I'll just add to this, Vivek. I was at the MD Anderson Cancer Center in the US early in the start of the year, and we were looking at the biology of cancer. And one of the researchers was explaining the effect of stress on cancer. So the biological answer is actually very simple. Stress adds to the aging of a cell. So the more we have stress, the more our cells age. The more we age, the more we are susceptible to diseases. So in the context of COVID, for example, we know that people who are older are more susceptible to the corona. So I think if we can be less stressful in today's times, eat better, we'll have a better chance of surviving corona, even if we get it. I mean, it's not in our hands to get it or not. Of course, we'll do social distancing. So, that's something at least I'm pushing everyone that I know that, please try to be stressful. I know it's difficult. It's not that easy. There's one last question I want to take. Sorry, I mean, there's so many questions coming up and I'll club them together, Vivek. So one question is from Divya. She's asking, how do I maintain a balance in life? And Redme, I don't know Redme's name, but it says Redme. So Redme says, I'm a mother of a 10-year-old son, and many, many times I get so angry with him. but I'm home. It's almost like I'm a teacher, but at home, I'm not a teacher. How do I control my anger? So, two questions. One is about balance of life, and the second is about how do I control my anger?
Yeah, these are very important questions. I must take them. And balance is a great word that you brought up. You see, work life balance, balance between our priorities at work and priorities at life, extremely important. To maintain that balance, we have to see that while we are in our careers and trying to grow in our career, are we giving enough time to our spouse and children? If you're giving only 20 minutes to your family per day, you really need to work out how you can give more time, because children grow up very fast. And if we balance our lives in terms of how much work we do and how much time we spend with the family, quality time. And quality time doesn't mean that we're watching Arnab Goswami on the news while chatting with the family. We need to be with the family at that time. We need to be talking to children, talking to our spouse, listening to the other. And that kind of family time is very good for balance. Also, working on yourself, as I said, meditate, read, sing to yourself, walk, smile, read some jokes, and watch some comedies. So, cheerfulness, laughter will also give you a lot of balance. And be determined not to overstress yourself out, and balance, see where your imbalance is coming from. The second one about the child who is 10-year-old is basically that what happens when we go to work, we are very polite to everybody. We are very, very fine with the colleagues. But when we come home, we take out our stresses on people we love, because then those people are, we take them for granted, our children and our spouse and maybe our parents. So we start shouting at people at home. And the child, especially, will not do well to listen to too much of temper or anger. So it is better to understand the child, keep the communication channels going. And if you're losing your temper too often, analyze why you lost your temper all that time. And if it is a compulsion, maybe there's something medical you need to check up. Otherwise, if there are 4 or 5 things about your son which irritate you, realize that maybe 2 or 3 of them are not worth it. Just leave those out. Maybe there's only one thing which he does which really is worth getting angry at, and which you can sometimes. But firmness is better than anger. So control your emotions and try and direct him firmly. That is better than losing your cool. So it takes hard work, but you can achieve it.
So I can tell everyone, I have a horrible temper, and Vivek has been guiding me, and thank you, Vivek, for that. So one of the things, Vivek, which I'm trying to do nowadays is to say, if I'm getting angry at someone, I use the lens and ask myself that would I be able to have the same emotion with someone who doesn't know me that well? So keeping that lens has actually started helping me by sort of asking myself that I can't take everyone for granted, people who love me, so I need to have the same, I would say, the same framework with people I love and the people who are acquaintances. I think we're coming to the end. We've taken a lot of time of yours, Vivek, of the audience. It's been a wonderful, wonderful session. 1 minute on your book, top 3 things that you think will bring happiness to everyone's lives, your top 3 things. And after that, we'll close.
Yeah, thank you very much, Atul. And I think, Atul, you should also have a session with the school sometime, because Atul himself is a very good speaker and a very good thinker. So perhaps that's an idea I'm suggesting. One more thing, 3 things which Atul mentioned from my book, Finding Success Within. One of the things I'd like to say is seeing the bigger picture. In seeing the bigger picture of life, then we are always focused on the ultimate outcome of what we are doing or saying. Sometimes in a rash moment, we say something or do something which is not keeping in view the bigger picture of life. So if we see that if I do this right now, overtake somebody or shout at somebody when I shouldn't, then I will regret it later. So keep that larger picture in mind. Second point which I'd say from my book is important is mindfulness. There's a chapter on mindfulness, which means that we focus on the present moment. We don't let our mind wander too much into the past or the future. So work on mindfulness, focusing on the present moment. That is also a key to success in life. And the third, which I often say, is communication skills. Keep working on your communication skills, how you speak, what you say, your writing skills, your oral skills, and it is always possible to keep improving. So your expression, I, as a speaker, I was not such a confident speaker, let's say 10 years ago. In the last 5 or 6 years, I've improved. And even now, before a session or before talking to you, I think about my speech, I prepare mentally, and then I come. So it is important to practice, exercise, and work on your communication skills. So these are the three things I think which you could take away.
I can also see, Vivek, you take your dressing very seriously. I can see a very nice, crisp shirt, perfectly white shirt. So I think it's also part of communication, I guess. So once again, Vivek, thank you very much. Thank you, audience. Thank you, St. Mary's. What a wonderful, wonderful session by Vivek, and what a wonderful audience. Lots of questions. We are so close to you, St. Mary's. Do visit us. I'll definitely come over and say hello to you guys at your school once Corona gets over. Hopefully I'll get a good coffee and good lunch. Love to see some thumbs up now. Jokes apart, once again, thank you very much. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves and be safe. Meet soon. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.